Hello and welcome to the weekly wrap with the USA Liberalists. We are your hosts. I'm Cody.
And I'm Jordan.
And today we have a host of topics. We're going to try to cover them not super quickly, but cover them quickly enough. And then we're going to go into a broader conversation about everybody's fresh-faced new politician, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
He already got the pudding joke stolen. We can't steal his fresh face joke too.
Yes, we can. We can steal all the jokes. We're going to cover the Jussie Smollett because we've covered it since the beginning and we're going to see it through. So, plus a lot of new breaking things have happened with this story. We're also going to touch on Trump's desire to decriminalize homosexuality and the left-wing progressives, I guess, anti-LGBTQ stance on it.
Yeah, seriously.
So, we're also going to touch on the Mueller investigation, give an update there, and a little bit about Feel the Bern 2020. And then we're going to do a quick thing on the... I think that's it. We might touch on the border crisis. I haven't.
If we have time.
If we have some time, yeah. So, I want to start with the Jussie Smollett story. Have you been keeping up with this at all?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. It's on everybody's mind.
It's a really entertaining story.
Well, I think it just points out how, again, the media uncritically just reports on a story to push a narrative, and then they don't apologize, they don't retract, they don't change. They just kind of make a small note and then continue to get clicks on their websites for it.
Yeah. The whole Jussie thing was dumb from the start, but nobody wanted to say shit because they didn't want to be that guy if it turned out to be real. And it's like, oh, yeah,
I was that guy.
Yeah.
Well, I follow the news pretty closely, and there's a lot of, not a lot, but there's more than you'd expect incidences of hoax hate. If anybody listens,
in general, like I think it's worth just pointing out that anyone that's talking about the whole believe X group all the time thing, it's like, look, every group is going to have bad actors in it. It's not even whether or not you believe that's this specific thing. It's just everyone has people in it that probably you shouldn't be believing. Even even our side, right? Like it's not that hard to believe.
Yeah, you just can't believe everybody.
Yeah. You got to take everything with a grain of salt, man.
Exactly, especially if there's some sort of motivation behind it, or if they set up a GoFundMe super quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You like start to suspect. If anybody listens to the Beauty and the Beta podcast, they have like a bit where they go over hoax hate just about every week. And so you kind of pick up on certain little things that tell you that maybe this isn't right, or maybe they did this to themselves. So I want to go over a quick timeline of everything that happened, and then we can go over what happened that's happened new.
Yeah.
Recently. So January 22nd, 1 week before the attack, Jussie received a threatening letter at the Fox Studios in Chicago, which is where they filmed the show Empire.
Mm-hmm.
And it had like homophobic death threats and stuff in it, and then it also had MAGA on it because
of course it did,
because that's just how it is.
Just don't worry about it. It's fine. Well, that's what Trump supporters do. They just MAGA everything.
Right. You threaten somebody and then you draw negative attention to the president and everything that you like because you're stupid. I don't know.
Well, I mean, haven't you heard Trump supporters are all retarded?
Yes, we are.
That's what I understood.
Yeah, we just write MAGA on everything. It's great.
Just magify everything. Everything just walks around with red buckets of paint and bleach. Apparently,
I have a binder, and on the inside cover of it, I would just write MAGA, 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 MAGA.
I thought that was my original idea. Fuck.
January 29th, the Chicago police opened a hate crime investigation after Jussie Smollett was allegedly attacked. Well, I guess we know he was attacked, or I guess the attack was staged, so I guess it's alleged. Anyway.
Yeah, I think we're good to just go ahead and call it a hoax at this point.
Well, I'm fine with calling it a hoax, but that's my opinion. I'm not legally. Anyway, no one's gonna come after us. We're untouchable.
We're too small.
That's right. It's the joy of anonymity.
Right.
So they opened the hate crime investigation when he said he was attacked around 2 a.m. and they shouted racial and homophobic slurs and poured an unknown chemical substance, which was later claimed to be bleach, and wrapped a noose around his neck. And then later he added that they shouted that they yelled, "This is MAGA country," because MAGA.
Yeah. MAGA.
So the police then on January 30th, they released a photo of two persons of interest that they captured on surveillance.
Mm-hmm.
But the attack itself wasn't captured. Now I think I was listening.
It seems like that was actually just sheer luck on his part. That's what it sounds like from the reports I've been reading. Is that because they've got everything else that happened on camera, right? Like everything else from them getting in the fucking lift to going and buying the fucking, was it a necktie? Was it literally just whatever the noose was?
It was a clothesline.
Clothesline, okay. To the red hats, because apparently they couldn't find a MAGA hat.
Right. Where do you buy a MAGA hat in Chicago? Nowhere.
They literally couldn't find a MAGA hat in Chicago, and that didn't set off any alarm bells in their head where they're like, "Huh, is this actually believable? Should we maybe, like, I don't know, go to a different state, maybe take a little vacation to somewhere like if this had happened in Alabama, at least you'd have been able to be like, okay, maybe there's some hillbilly that did this, you know, maybe." But other than that, like, what the fuck, dude?
I heard somebody say, "This is why you don't let actors write scripts."
100%.
Because they're not believable.
Get this guy the fuck away from writing anything, Jesus. And before the fucking Writers Guild offers him a goddamn job.
Well, yeah, I also heard that. I don't know if this is true or not. This might just be a rumor, but I heard that when the police showed up and he took them to where the alleged incident happened, he said, "Thank goodness this was all caught on camera." Realized it was pointed the other way, so it wasn't caught on camera, which is probably best for him now. He wanted it to be caught on camera.
Oh my god. He was too stupid to film his own attack?
Well,
holy shit. Jussie, baby.
He wanted it on. If it was on camera,
he needs a hug. This is pathetic.
If you could see him, he's an actor, so he can lie for a living. If it was on camera, then this story would have been way bigger. That footage would have been shared everywhere.
If it had been on fucking camera, they would have noticed that his description of two white dudes doesn't make any sense on the face of it.
Well, it's hard to tell. Like in these surveillance photos, it's hard to tell. All you can see are like black outlines of humans. You can't really see they're
True.
white or anything like that. At least in the story I was looking at.
I mean,
But
if he was planning on filming it himself, that was what I'm saying.
so on February 1st, Jussie was addressing the skepticism, and he released a statement saying he's been 100% factual and consistent on every level. And he said, despite my frustrations and deep concern with certain inaccuracies and misrepresentations that have been spread, I still believe that justice will be served.
Me too.
Yep, same here.
Fucking Jesus, dude. This guy's shameless as hell.
Well, yeah, then on February 2nd, he appeared on, at a concert, sold out concert in West Hollywood. And he said, regardless of what anyone else says, I will only stand for love.
Oh, okay. Well, good for you.
Right. He said this to cheers of the crowd. And I think I saw some footage of that. I think he also said that I fought back, I fought back.
I fought the fuck back. Yeah, that was it.
That was.
I want everyone to know I fought the fuck back. I'm not weak. I'm Jussie.
I stood up to.
I stood up to hate. Like I don't.
Well, yeah, in the Good Morning America interview, like I didn't watch the whole thing because I can't cringe that hard. It hurts. I have a medical condition. He said something like, "I
definitely don't have that medical condition. I love cringing that hard."
He said something. The clip I saw, he said when they asked him, "Well, why do you think they did this to you?" And he paused and he thought about it. Dramatic pause and thought about it. He couldn't remember his line. I don't know. And then he said, "I go really hard after 45," just like that. Like that was the tempo. And like, these people who can't even say Trump's name, they refer to him by a number. Isn't that a little dehumanizing? Didn't they do that to the?
I'm pretty sure what he's actually saying is like the 45th president, something like that.
Hello?
Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? Oh God, we're disconnecting super hard, aren't we? All right, let's have a look at what's going on. Hello?
Yeah. Hello. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I was just saying that I think it's just him referring to like his presidency number because Trump is the 45th president, right?
Right. No, I understand that, but it's just it's like they think of him as Voldemort, so they can't say his name, He who shall not be named. Like I never referred to Barack Obama as 44.
I don't think that's actually like a disrespect thing, personally, but
I do. I think it's meant to be like an insult.
It might be, but you can take it a lot of different ways.
Well, it's a stupid insult, but it's
right.
They don't want to say his name because it's so awful to them to just say his name.
Might be, but again, I think that might be more of just like a colloquialism in their circles as opposed to like a necessarily an insult.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure that's just how they all refer to him in those progressive elitist circles.
Yeah.
But it just makes me cringe every time I hear it. I'm like, you're not fucking Harry Potter. Grow up.
What do you mean?
So on February 4th, the police released the initial incident report, and Jussie Smollett's friend is the one who actually reported the incident.
Mm-hmm.
And Smollett didn't want to report it, but believed it to be in the best interest to report it. Which I don't know if that meant that he was just going to go on social media and say it happened and then not report it and just get a bunch of sympathy and start a GoFundMe. I don't know what his plan was. We'll find that out.
We will find the fuck out.
He said his attackers were wearing all black, and he can't recall any distinguishing features. On February 12th, the police said that Smollett gave them heavily redacted phone records.
Wait, I just realized he couldn't remember any identifying features besides the MAGA hats in general. Like nothing.
It says he says they were wearing black masks, but he recalls no other distinguishing features. Timeline of events that I have.
What are they also fucking ninjas? Like, how did that happen? All right,
I don't know.
I'm gonna let that one go. That's fine.
He was just in the moment, fighting for his life.
He was apparently fighting eyes closed. The picture of strength, just flailing wildly with your eyes shut in fear.
Right. So on February 14th was the Good Morning America interview. He tears up. He cries in the interview and pushes back on those who questioned his story.
Oh, did you see it was the Trevor Noah bit about this actually? Did you see that?
No, I didn't. I heard about it. I didn't see it. What was it?
Yeah, basically Trevor Noah went on and was like, look, okay, he fucked up. Granted, sure. But I mean, really though, after that performance, you can't just take the dude out of Hollywood. Like, come on. It's too good.
Oh yeah.
We're shooting ourselves in the foot here. Like we need this.
He should get an Emmy for that.
Yeah, he should get that's right. Exactly. He should get an Emmy for that performance on that one. Oh man. Normally Trevor Noah is like completely unfunny, but that was savage as fuck, and I love it.
Right. I am not a huge Trevor Noah fan, but he got a good one there.
Normally he's
I'll give it to him there.
Yeah. Get credit where credit's due, right?
So in the Good Morning America interview, he denies reports. He basically denies that it was a hoax.
Good for him. Fucking this whole thing is so dumb.
Right. And then on the 15th, the police announced that they're questioning two persons of interest who they've seen on surveillance. But later they were both released without charges. And then the police said new evidence has been given to detectives and additional investigative work to complete.
Oh,
and
actually,
then on February 16th,
Hello? Can you hear me? Hold on. I'm going to work with my internet real quick. Just give me 2 seconds.
Sure. I'm just going to keep going on this. The two brothers, Ola and Abel Osundaro, told detectives that Smollett paid them to participate in the attack. And when the police raided their homes, they found rope, mask, and bleach. And I believe they also found stamps too.
From stamps.com, clearly.
Clearly, with today's sponsor.
I wish.
They found stamps and about that letter, it had the white powder in it too. And it turned out that was just aspirin.
Yeah, that was particularly funny for me, actually. Where it's like he couldn't even be bothered to make it something a little more threatening. I don't know. Put in some fucking like morphine or something. Like aspirin? Really?
It's cheap.
It's not. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's how terrorism works. We need to make this terrorism as cheap as possible.
Well, they didn't want to hurt anybody. They just wanted to produce the feeling of fear in order to promote the personal interests of Jussie Smollett.
Oh yeah, allegedly. Did you hear basically the report where they're just like, okay, so we think we know why he did this, and it was basically just he wanted a higher salary.
Yeah.
It was like, really, dude? Really, bitch? All this just so you can get a slightly higher paycheck? Like, come on. That's shitty. Right.
Well, on February 17th, the police said that they weren't going to deny our comment on whether this was a hoax or not, or who they were talking to. And then on the 18th, the two brothers speak out publicly for the first time, and they said that we're not racist, we're not homophobic, and we are not anti-Trump. We were born and raised in Chicago and are American citizens. Oh yeah, there it is.
Who said that?
Ola and Abel Osundaro, the two brothers who.
Oh, the Nigerian brothers. Okay,
yeah,
that's kind of cool.
So
they're just trying to help their friend.
Just trying to help a brother out. Well, they both worked. I think they both worked on the set of Empire with Jussie, and I think one of them was also his personal trainer.
That I'm not sure about, because I've also heard that they're just like his friends that he talks about working out with.
Yeah, or they're just training buddies.
Yeah, so I can't exactly confirm that one, but either way, I mean, if he wanted to be his personal trainer, I mean, look at the dude. He's fucking ripped, dude.
Right? He could do it. He could get that rip. On the 19th, the two brothers talked to prosecutors, but it's unclear if they testified or not. And then on the 20th, Cook County, Illinois state attorney filed a felony disorderly conduct charge against Smollett. And then surveillance footage obtained by CBS Chicago shows the two brothers buying red hats and ski masks one day before the reported assaults.
That's my favorite part of this whole thing. None of them thought any of this would come out. And it's like, you guys, you can't just like buy everything day of. Just go shopping at Walmart and be like, I need some ski masks. I need some acetaminophen, otherwise known as aspirin, because we're cheap as fuck here. That's how we keep costs down.
We want the generic brand.
Yeah. Don't even give me expensive aspirin. Too rich for my blood.
Aspirin.
Wait until I get my raise, y'all. Wait until I get my raise. Then we can get some real aspirin here.
So they've updated this timeline because that wasn't in there before. But
really?
But today, February up to today, so that brings us current.
Mm-hmm.
The police issued a warrant for his arrest, and then Smollett turned himself in to face the charge, and bond was set at $100,000. And Smollett was ordered to surrender his passport.
I'm not even sure why they're bothering. Like, the most they're even going to get him for here, from what they've like charged him with. Oh, God damn it! Is like a year and a half in jail. So I'm like, what do you guys even care? Like, even if he fucking goes down for this, I mean, I guess it's still technically a felony charge, which is a problem for him. But like, other than that, like, this isn't really that big a deal.
Well, there's more to it too. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
I don't know who Eddie Johnson is. I don't know who that is. I guess he's the Chicago Police Department Superintendent, Eddie Johnson. Okay. He said, quote, I'm left hanging my head and asking why. Why would anyone, especially an African-American man, use the symbolism of a noose to make false accusations? How could someone look at the hatred and suffering associated with that symbol and see an opportunity to manipulate that symbol to further his own public profile?
Wait, so you're telling me just being black doesn't mean you're like totally in tune with what the black community needs? No way.
Whoa.
Like, whoa, man.
So that brings us
George Bush, hashtag not my president.
That brings us up. Oh, he was totally my president. I love that. Not really, but
whatever, man. Either way, it was a cheap joke, so it's fine.
The letter, since the letter was sent through the mail, it could be a federal crime.
Well, that's why they're charging him with federal disorderly conduct, right? Because that's what that was.
No, it's felony disorderly conduct.
No,
in the
that's why
state.
that's why I said federal, because that does necessarily make it a felony.
No, the charge of felony disorderly conduct is by the Chicago PD or by the Chicago Attorney General. It's a state crime. But
what is the Fed doing? Is the Fed charging him with a different thing?
No, the feds haven't charged him yet, as far as I know.
I understand. I'm sorry. I thought this was the federal. Okay, I misunderstood.
Well, he's been arrested and charged with felony disorderly conduct. He could face anywhere between 1 to 3 years in prison, a fine of $3,000 to $5,000, and he's possibly facing a federal indictment for sending the hoax hate letter, according to Tim Pool.
Damn.
Right. So,
dude fucked up.
He's facing felony charges in the state of Illinois, and he could be possibly facing additional crimes for, I don't know what it would be.
Well, I mean, sure, there's got to be it sounds like the
attempted terrorism or something.
Well, I mean, that sounds more like something the Fed would take care of, because it's pretty clear to me that the CPD is softballing Jussie even to this point,
right?
At least a little bit. Which, I mean, I can't entirely blame them for, because I think at this point they kind of just want this to be over.
Yeah, I think that's been their position since the beginning. They're like, dude, you're fucking lying about this. Stop.
Yeah, because, I mean, they don't really want to deal with it, because, I mean, if they do go all the way with it and throw the book at him, then they get called racist, and it's like, well, he was just doing it to make a point, and it's like, I mean,
that's already happened. They're already been called
yes, but I'm pretty sure they just want this to go away, and the fastest way to make that happen is slap on the wrist, so that everybody can at least be like, all right, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
and they still get to say they did their job.
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the FBI comes out and charges him with something too. I don't know what it would be exactly, because I'm not a lawyer. But I don't know. It'd be like sending, what did they charge the guy? The guy who sent the bombs through the mail. The crazy MAGA bomber guy.
I don't remember, but I do know, because I remember this back from the Bush era days where ricin was getting sent in the mail. They would probably be charging him for something similar. Although he didn't actually send ricin, so that's an improvement. That's an improvement.
Conspiracy to perpetrate a terrorist incident?
I'm not actually sure. This is the kind of thing where we might want to reach out to someone like Lee or Lesser. Maybe talk to him a little bit. Although this probably isn't his specialty.
I'll just call him up real quick.
We could actually just call a lawyer and get their opinion on it.
Yeah, I haven't talked to my lawyer in a while.
I was thinking just call a random lawyer, because pretty much I have a feeling most of them could probably give us at least a basic breakdown of where this would fall as far as federal crime.
Yeah, but they charge you.
Not for 2 minutes to ask them questions.
2 minutes is like $50 to them.
Oh my god. That's why you just do it over the phone.
Have you ever worked with a lawyer before? Jesus Christ, man. They're like, we filed paperwork. It's going to be $200. Like,
yes, I have worked with a lawyer before, but it was also in the family, so it's probably a little bit different.
Yeah, it's so different. So some of the reaction. Yeah. Some of the reaction to this, Don Lemon said something like, if only Jussie had better advice, he could have won the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
Not that he perpetrated a hoax hate crime, not that he lied to everybody for personal gain, but if he had only had better advice, this would have turned out fine.
Oh my god.
And
that says so much about what that guy thinks about the entire incident. It's like, dude, the problem is that he did it in the first place, not that he got caught. Like, bro.
Yeah. Well, the response is always, well, this might not have been a real hate crime, but this is what is it? This is just symbolic of what's been going on, what's really been going on. It's always like whenever these hoax hate things come out and then they get caught, it's not you're an asshole, you lied to everybody for personal gain and fame and everything and got a bunch of people angry. It's, well, the message was good.
To be fair, this did turn a few heads. Like, getting Trevor Noah to come out against Jussie is actually a really big deal.
Well, yeah, what they don't understand is this peels people away from these sort of activists, radical, progressive activist types.
I think that's what they're actually talking about when they say something like, the problem isn't the thing, it's the problem is they got caught. Because that is, I'm feeling when they're saying things like that, it's more of a strategy comment. It's more of like an inside baseball comment where they're like, look, we're trying to recruit here, Jussie. Shut the fuck up. If you want to do it right, you know?
This is a tactic, basically.
Right.
To the far left.
Yeah, you're basically, whenever people say something like that, you might as well just go ahead and turn on like your brain as though you're in a boardroom listening to fucking marketing people and PR people, because that's exactly what that is. It's the same mindset. With the whole BP spill, you think the people in the PR room are sitting there going, you know, we really fucked up. No, they're sitting there going, all right, how do we spin this?
Right? Yeah. It's how do we make ourselves look good here?
Exactly. And that's the same exact mindset. So it's really just, you got to be able to flip it around and go, okay, what is this guy actually trying to say? Because if he doesn't have any problem with this happening, like, I'd like to believe these people have a problem with the thing happening itself. That's what I'd like to believe. But it's not what they're presenting up front. So maybe it's happening somewhere in the background where no one can see it when they're not having a public PR meeting.
Well, yeah, and I think to them though, I do think that, and it's probably not all of them, but I do think there's a significant portion of them that the ends justify the means.
Mm-hmm.
And so it doesn't matter that he lied as long as he's advancing the narrative.
Yeah. It's a very old mindset. It's this very tribalist mindset where it's like, look, it's our guy that did it. Should he have done it? Probably not. Do I care? No.
Right. It's not gonna. Well, I mean, there's a reason why these stories get as big as they do,
mm-hmm.
because there's something there that matters to people,
mm-hmm.
and it's not that the United States is a racist, homophobic country. Yeah, it's that we've seen a lot of these attacks, and then a lot of them are just reported unquestioningly, and then it comes out later when nobody's paying attention that, oh, they were fake, but the damage is already done.
I think the real problem is because it's not like there aren't actual hate crimes. Because there's been like a very, to me, a sort of strange talking point going around that it's like the demand for hate exceeds the supply, which in certain areas,
my talking point.
Was it your talking point? Okay, well, I have to disagree with you on this one a little bit, because I think in this particular area, maybe, but when we're talking about like generally, not so much, man. Like, for instance, this is something that Ben Shapiro pointed out on the same night as the Chicago hoax hate crime. When Jussie was being signal boosted, there was like an old Jewish man that got the shit beat out of him by, I don't know who it was, but it definitely wasn't a white nationalist because nobody cared about it. It
was probably some Muslim guy.
Who knows? I would need to look into it more. But my point is, there are plenty of hate crimes that happen every single day.
Right.
That don't see any play because it doesn't fit a certain narrative. And instead, they focus on hate crimes that do fit a certain narrative, and then are shocked when everybody realizes, if I say a certain thing in a certain way, I will get tons of attention. And then where are all these hoaxes coming from? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You tell everyone that you're looking for hoaxes, they produce hoaxes for you, and they turn out to be fake. Yeah, no shit.
Well, the hoaxes are real hoaxes.
Sorry. Yes, real hoaxes. You know what I mean, though.
Yeah, I get it. I understand. Yeah, it's. I do believe that there is a greater. I've had this opinion for a while now, and I thought I came up with it all by myself. but now maybe I don't think it. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I heard it somewhere.
Okay.
But it's that the demand for racist, sexist, bigoted homophobes far outstrips the supply.
Oh, that's definitely true. Like if we're going
that was my idea.
Okay, yeah. If we're talking about that specifically, then yeah, I would 100% agree.
Because people, and so I also had jumping off that idea is that the media, the legacy media, in their
infinite wisdom.
No, in their death throes, I want to say, because
I was being polite, but
they aren't able to compete with like YouTube and social media, and everyone's a reporter now, and so because we all have cameras in our pockets and we can all share it on social media, so they're dying. But because they're dying, and because there's this demand, this market demand for racist, bigot, sexist, homophobes, that they are rushing in to fill that market demand because it generates them income and keeps them alive.
It's ridiculous.
So basically, the legacy media is surviving on hate.
Well, I mean, and they're going to see the exact same thing happen over and over and over again. They wonder, like, it's not, to me, looking back, it's not that mysterious why you see all these fake bullshit stories come out over and over that have the same exact narrative. It's people know the shit works, and the media feeds it, and they, like, everybody knows they're looking for it, and it's fucking, I just want it to stop. But the only way that's going to happen is if the media gets a little bit of self-awareness and goes, all right, we need to stop signal boosting these things so much if we want the hoaxes to stop.
Exactly. Well, the media doesn't want these hoaxes to stop. They want to report them uncritically, have it go viral, and then they'll put a footnote at the bottom of the article a couple weeks later when it comes out that it's a hoax.
Yeah.
And then they still get they've already made their money off of it.
Yeah. They're driving the fucking country insane.
Well, yeah, they're shirking their responsibility as the media of reporting honestly.
Yeah, seriously.
I want to do this. I want to say this one last thing, and then we'll go on to the next topic. GQ, when this first came out, they wrote an article that said that called this attack America's far right endgame.
Well, I mean, all right, GQ.
But Tim Pool, which I got some of my information from Tim Pool, from CBS, from Daily Wire, National Review. I got a bunch of stories on this, so I was trying not to get just one angle. But he said about that article that this looks like the far left's endgame instead.
Yeah, just rob their base so much that shit happens.
Right. I mean, Jussie was mad because he didn't get as much attention from the MAGA letter, and so he had to have a MAGA hate crime.
God, that's pathetic.
Right. It's so pathetic you have to pay somebody to beat the shit out of you. I'm sure there's people that would do it for free.
Yeah, seriously.
And they'd probably do a better job.
He literally, he could have easily just gone to a bar, found some dude wearing a MAGA hat, and pick a fight, and everyone would have taken his side. Everyone. Right. I would have taken his side if that happened. Not. You wouldn't have taken his side? I would have taken, like, honestly, because it is inappropriate to start beating the shit out of someone, even if they, like, are sitting there, like, going after you.
Yeah. Depends on what he did. I would want to know the full story before I took a side.
Also true, but at least then there's, like, some plausible deniability.
Right. You can just say, like, he would come out and say, I was just drinking at the bar and this guy beat the shit out of me.
Mm.
But then you'd probably have witnesses. But I mean, How much do people really pay attention to everybody else while they're drunk at a bar?
Also true. most people there probably would have just known there was a fight going on and probably would have been like drunkenly cheering it on.
Right.
Honestly.
I just want to cover these stories real quick, and then we can go on to talk about AOC a little bit, because I know you really wanted to have that discussion.
I want to just talk about her a little bit and sort of go over what's happening with her, because she's such a weird one. She really is.
And we haven't talked about her on this show a lot. That's mostly my fault.
It's intentional. Like, I don't want to talk about her all the time, but I feel like she, at this point, at least deserves a discussion.
Right. Well, yeah, she's
really
prominent enough. Yeah, that's the better word. Prominent enough that it warrants a discussion.
Yeah.
As opposed to just criticizing stupid things about her, which is what happened to Trump and made him super famous.
Yeah, I mean, it did, but there was also, because there is definitely the fact that he basically just said things and the media reacted and was like, oh my gosh, look at this thing he said, and gave him shitloads of free press.
Yeah.
I don't think that would work quite the same with AOC, just because they refused to report on her stupid shit.
Yeah, well, we can get to that in a minute.
Okay, sorry.
We're going to talk a little bit about this week. Trump released...
Stupid?
This Week in Stupid. No. Trump released, I guess it was a statement or something, that they're going to push for decriminalization of homosexuality across the globe. And so the U.S., you're right? I'm like, hey, that's badass.
Yeah.
Good Trump, man. Good job, man. So the U.S. is going to...
Like he's winning in 2020, 100%.
Well, I hope so. I mean...
Well, I'm just saying, man, this is something that never really gets brought up, but the incumbent's advantage in this country is overwhelming.
It's crazy, yeah.
Like, it's really huge, and no one ever seems to take it all that seriously. And I sort of understand why, because it's like, yeah, the incumbent advantage is really big, but it's more of a statistical thing than a necessary eventuality. It's not necessarily the way it should go.
Well, are all the polls going to come out and say that Trump only has a 5% chance of winning or something again?
Oh my God, that would be so stupid. Like, at this point, there's no way that 5% would be accurate at this point. I would fucking flip a table if Nate Silver comes on the screen and is like, yeah, it looks like Hillary's going to win this time again.
99% chance that Hillary Clinton will win.
Oh my God, that was so dumb. And the entire time I was sitting, like, that entire election, I was sitting there feeling like I was being gaslit, because I'm like, there's no way. Like, I see so much support for Trump, and you're telling me that he's got a 1% chance? I don't understand.
I was the opposite. I live in a liberal progressive state, and it was everybody hates Trump, and nobody thought he was going to win, and I didn't think he was going to win.
I mean, I didn't think he was necessarily going to win, but I just thought, like, a 1% chance, man, that's really low.
Right.
Like,
even
give more credit.
Even the people who were Republicans were like, I'm not really super for Trump, but I really don't like Hillary, so I don't really know who I'm going to vote for.
Yeah.
And I didn't vote. I voted Libertarian, so that worked out.
Yeah, that's one way of saying it.
Well, my state voted for Hillary anyway, like almost 70%, 60-something percent. So
sure, but I mostly meant online. And then you start looking at his rallies and seeing these massive rallies with shitloads of people go everywhere he goes, and he's being cheered everywhere he goes. But the media wants me to believe 1%.
Yeah,
1%. Like, Jesus, guys, come on. Give my intelligence a little credit here.
Lagging out sometimes.
Sorry, I think there's something wrong with my internet, but I can't fix it just a second.
That's okay. It's not very often. It's just occasionally.
I gotcha.
But yeah, like I didn't think he was going to win, and then watching the results come in that night, like I stayed up later than I normally do to watch them. Man, like it was, to me, I just got excited about it, and I don't know why. It was just that he was such an underdog, I guess.
Well, did you get to see all of the crazy fucking the response videos where everyone's looking at the liberal side of YouTube, looking at this and their faces slowly falling into despair as they realize
you can just see the life draining from their bodies, from the set, from everything.
Jake Huger's in the middle of the whole thing, just being like, "Well, it's looking like Trump has a 30% chance to win here, but no, we're still good, guys. Like, he needs to win all these states over. No, we're still good. It's fine."
They're trying to keep morale up.
Yeah, actively. He has to win all these things. Oh, fuck, he won half of those. It's still gonna 99% chance, guys. 99%. Like, she's gonna win. It's fine.
Look, they're all counted. We're still good.
Yeah, no, the votes need to be tallied.
He's got to win Florida. Trump has to wins Florida.
Destroys Florida.
Oh
my God.
If I need to be cheered up, I just find one of those compilations online and watch it. And I'm reminded that we live in the best timeline.
No, dude, at the time I was a hardcore Bernie bro.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, seriously. But anyway, yeah, no, I was watching this whole thing happening, and I couldn't help but be a little excited for Trump. Just not even because I wanted Trump, but more just because I hated Hillary.
Right. I think most of us were in that camp.
I wasn't sitting there yeah, Trump, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA. It was more fucking Hillary though, Hillary.
We've already had a Clinton. Let's try this guy.
Yeah, seriously. That's kind of where my mindset was, where it was more just I wasn't excited for him, but at the same time it was yeah, I mean, who knows what we're actually getting with this guy? No one has any clue what he actually wants, just because in all of his speeches, you can go in this sometimes in the same speech where he takes multiple positions on the same thing.
Right. He wasn't very consistent.
No,
man, he is definitely interesting though. I don't know why. I watch his speeches, and they're just fun to watch, and he looks like he's having a great time.
True.
And then he'll say a bunch of stuff that's crazy, and then he'll say something that I really like, and I'm like, damn, I like that guy.
That's probably why he's fun to watch, is just because he's up there enjoying himself, he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
Because that's something that's really missing a lot of these times with a lot of these politicians, because politics is stressful, man. You have to figure out I mean, just in general, any level of politics that you participate in, it can be fucking stressful, and there's drama, and there's all these different weird little things you have to figure out, and
politics or business, or that's all that is, man.
Yeah.
I've had jobs like that. It's not fun. You just don't want to go to work.
No, yeah, seriously. And I think that's where most politicians are at, but they're look, this is my job. I'm here to work for, hopefully they're thinking I'm here to work for the people. I'm hoping that. But yeah, I think most of them, the stress gets to them really hard. So they come out there and they look like lifeless dolls that are just I fucking want to kill everything. Because they probably do want to kill everything.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just it shows on their face, and it's just not a problem that Trump has. Because he can go out there and be like, yeah, everything fucking rocks. I fucking rock. The country fucking rocks.
Yeah, he does have something that I think you said this one time, that it must be very reaffirming to be around Trump, because he just compliments everybody so much. He's a great guy. I love this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so
yeah, it actually must be kind of cool. If you're on Trump's good side, because if you get on his bad side, it looks like it goes really bad really fast. But
right, he's kind of a up or down.
Yeah, he's a little bipolar.
But this move by Trump, I am 100% for it. I think it's good.
I love this.
It was kind of, I read that it was brought on by a hanging of a gay youth in Iran. And so
yeah, I've got some people trying to say it's racist because it's just him trying to get an excuse to go in there and attack brown people, and I'm like, look, even if it was racist, I don't think it is. Even if it was, Like, we're talking about him actively going after anti-gay legislation in other countries. Surely that's a good thing.
Well, yeah, I wrote in the notes that I wrote in there, it said, instead of praising Trump for this move, woke journalists demonstrated their Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
Like Out Magazine said that this is an old racist tactic. The article that I got this from, who wrote this? NBC. One of their lines in there said that, quote, he narrowly focused on criminalization rather than broader LGBT issues like same-sex marriage. So they gotta like criticize him. It's like, well, he didn't do it good enough. It's like, fuck,
it's so
like
stupid.
take a win, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to give them a win, and they're being like, no, we must say Trump bad somehow. He's making it real hard for them, though. Like, I seriously think he should just go out there and like adopt their platform wholesale and just see what happens.
It would instantly turn into conservatives.
Like the entire fucking progressive movement just goes so far left that they end up right back around on the right.
It's the horseshoe theory.
Exactly. He just swings so hard left they all end up as fucking tradcon evangelicals.
So I included this article in the show notes. So if you guys want to check it out, I labeled it biased article of the week. It's
biased article of the week.
It's from the Independent.
You're independent.
UK Independent. The title is, as Trump administration announces campaign to decriminalize homosexuality, here are 8 anti-LGBT things the president has done.
But
it's like, come on.
Is he not allowed to improve? Like,
right.
I mean, come on, dude. Do you want him to do better or not? Like, if he's trying to do better, clearly, let him.
Yeah. Well, even if he is like a horrible anti-LGBT person, take the win.
Yeah.
I don't believe either. I don't think he cares. I don't think he cares enough to be
actively sit there and shit on them.
Yeah, to hate them so much. But even if he is that horrible person, like, if he does something good, like, hey, recognize it. Or if he does something you like.
It turns out when someone's starving, I don't care if they hate white people. If they can feed me, I'm good to go, man.
Right. I don't care if I'm starving and the Klan is offering bread, I might take it.
Yeah, seriously, like, it might be shitty, but come on, like, what do you want me to do? Starve just because it's the fucking Klan offering the bread?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just that their priorities are Orange Man bad, then everything else.
Yeah, I think we can safely say their priorities are fucked up.
Exactly. So you said that you were for Bernie. You were a Bernie bro before he got cheated. How do you feel about him running again? He's announced that he's going to be running.
As I've gotten to like see a lot more of him, the less interested I've become. Just because he seems to be much more in the swamp than I thought he was in the first place.
Yeah.
Not fully, not nearly as bad as a lot of the other guys, but still, if you're going to run as like the anti-swamp guy that's totally against all of it, fuck the system. I do things my way. Like, I need you to follow through with that. You know, this is one of those. It's one of those strategies where this is kind of all or nothing, guys. Either do it or don't. No, there's no in between. Not with this, you know.
Exactly. Well, he's pushing $15 minimum wage, healthcare for all, and free college.
Stupid, and stupider.
So basically, vote for me and I give you stuff.
Yeah.
He did face some claims of sexism against his 2016 campaign, not for him directly, but some of the people that worked for him. So of course that's bad. But I wrote down a couple advantages. One, he has name recognition, and he already has like a national network built up from his prior campaign.
Mm-hmm.
The disadvantages I put were that he's a wealthy old white man running in a party who opposed those type of people.
I don't think that's actually going to hurt him as much as people think.
No, I don't think it'll hurt him.
It will hurt him, but only in certain demos. Because, I mean, like, is there a section of the Democratic Party that will vote for Kamala Harris just because she's brown? Yeah. But Bernie speaks a lot closer to what they actually want from a politician than she does. So he might be old and white, but he also outflanks her on the left way harder.
Yeah. Well, he's further left than some of the other candidates, and he definitely has more advantages than they do.
I think the only politician right now that you could point to that's technically further left that's got any sort of name recognition is AOC, and she can't even run, so whatever. Right. But still,
right. Well, I also put that he's tainted with the mantle of a loser who bent the knee to Hillary, because there's a lot of people who supported him that hated that he came out and said that he supported her.
I think that's going to hurt him with some people like me, because I gotta admit, I didn't appreciate that. I thought that was bad play, because I'm just like, look, if she's going to win with or without his like support. In my opinion, what he should have done is gone, like I said, full bore, fuck the system. I'm going to do this my way, and y'all can all eat a fat dick. But he couldn't do it. He couldn't follow through. So it hurts him with people like me. But when it comes to, I think the core Democrat base that wants Democrats to win, I think that actually plays a little bit better, where he can go to them and be like, look, I was a team player. I worked with them before. I can get things done in Washington with the Democrats if I have like all the support I need. And that's something that people like AOC definitely can't say. That's something like people like Kamala Harris might have some trouble with. Not that Kamala Harris is a bad team player as far as the Democrats are concerned, but he definitely has at least something to point to, even as a losing record, and say, look, I worked with these guys before, even though there were some issues. I did my part to try and make this happen, and now I'm going to attack Trump directly.
Well, yeah, it's the less intersectional you are, the more you have to hate Trump. And I think if and it does look like Biden is probably going to run. I think if Biden runs, then he's going to knock Bernie out. I think more people would support Biden than Bernie. But they're both so old.
Yeah, but Biden also doesn't look like he's literally got one foot in the grave.
Yeah, that's true.
Because, I mean, Bernie does look a little bit like the gravekeeper. So, yeah, just saying. Like, it's not even that Bernie's... Because in realistic terms, because Bernie's not even 80, right? He's not...
Yeah.
He doesn't look as old as he... Oh, I'm sorry. He looks older than he is. Like, much older. He looks like he's 90-something.
Socialism will do that to you.
Yeah. The red lines will do that to you. But the man looks very old, and he looks unhealthy. Seriously.
Well, who was it? I think I heard Steven Crowder said that he saw Bernie Sanders on a plane, and when they got off, he was going to go talk to him and, do his Crowder-y thing to him. But he was so like bent over and walking so slowly that he just felt sorry for him, and so he didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like either Crowder's really good at making somebody sound pitiful, or he was pretty pitiful in real life. So I don't know.
I mean, does anybody look at Bernie and see a striking figure like
the God Emperor?
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, sure, fair enough, but still, compared to Bernie, Trump has got a fucking figure like a Greek god. So yeah, like
Trump just has like energy, man.
Well, that's something that Biden also has, and he has the advantage of being like very closely tied to Obama. So even though he doesn't check off this intersectional boxes, he does get to say, "Look, I was under the first black president. Like I understand these issues in a way that the other candidates might not." he can't say that to Kamala Harris, but to everyone else, he totally can. He can basically he can play the like pseudo black card.
He's got the creepy Joe thing going on, though.
He does have the creepy Joe thing going on, but I don't think the left is going to care all that much.
Well, some of the progressives might care about it because
some of the progressives
too.
They do, but like it's also Obama's guy.
Well, right.
So I don't know. Yeah,
they're willing to look the other way.
Yeah, because I mean, how many examples of fucking creepy male feminists do we need to understand that these guys don't like? They care about it, but it's definitely a case of look, we'll do anything to make it stop. So if we have to deal with creepy Joe for a little bit to work on it, whatever. If we have to deal with Bill Clinton raping everything to deal with it, whatever, man.
Yeah, they're less interested in.
They're much more results oriented than principles oriented. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So yeah, that was all I had with that. So I wanted to touch on this real quick, and then one other thing, and then we'll get into AOC. The Mueller investigation. This should be bigger news, but the reason I don't think we need to spend too much time on it is because there's not really anything to talk about out.
Well, he just said that the investigation is wrapping up. That's about it.
Yeah, pretty much it's wrapping up.
Tell us anything.
And they're going to submit a confidential report to the Attorney General. But
I want that thing released. I do. I want that report released.
Me too.
I want that report released fully unredacted if possible. Although that's probably asking too much.
Well, the special counsel regulations don't require it to be shared with Congress and the public.
It doesn't, but at the same time,
it doesn't require it. But
I'm thinking more of like from a PR perspective because I would love to see Trump release this thing and run fucking end goals around the Democrats for the next 2 years and just say, "You idiot motherfuckers! I didn't do shit. Fuck y'all."
Right? Because they've already like foreshadowed that there's nothing in there.
It's already been said. It's like, don't get too excited, guys.
Don't get your hopes up.
Yes, you're like, don't get your hopes up for the thing. Yeah, it's been almost 3 years now? Approaching?
Yeah, almost 3 years.
Maybe 2.5. I'd say 2.5 years of this, of Mueller going around being like, no, we got something, and what do we actually end up getting? Someone fucking misreported their shit on their taxes. Someone is like lied to him about an unrelated line of questioning. Oh wow. I can feel the fucking impeachment coming, guys. I can feel the impeachment. So much impeachment.
It's
happening.
The impeachment. It's everywhere. It's so great. I love
the impeachment's in the air tonight.
But yeah, that was it. And then I had this one written down because I thought it was interesting that the Supreme Court curbs power of states to impose heavy fines and seizure of property. So they basically ruled on more or less when the police, like if you're convicted of a crime and you owe money, the police can sometimes take it's like, what is it called? Civil asset forfeiture.
Oh yeah, that shit where they steal all your stuff.
So they can, they can take your car and call it even, pretty much. But it was that
was always a bad idea.
The thing that I thought was interesting about this was that it was a unanimous ruling, which I'm like, okay, good. Like maybe they're not all crazy.
Maybe Kavanaugh's the great uniter. Holy shit.
Clarence Thomas wrote, "The right to be free from excessive fines is one of the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States protected by the 14th Amendment." And then Ginsburg wrote, from her cryogenic stasis, protection against Futurama style. Protection against excessive fines has been a constant shield throughout Anglo-American history for good reason. Such fines undermine other liberties. They can be used, example, to retaliate against or chill the speech of political enemies. They can also be employed not in service of penal purposes, but as a source of revenue. That's probably the only time you'll hear me say this, but I agree with Ginsburg there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, look, there's really nothing else to say about it. It's, you can't just run around stealing people's shit, dude.
Well, I kind of wonder, now that I'm thinking about it, all those indictments brought by the Mueller investigation, are they seizing their assets?
I mean,
is this what Ginsburg had said, that it's retaliation against or chill the speech of political enemies?
Possibly.
Is that what's been happening? I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm not making that, and I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean, they had $1 million SWAT there for fucking. It was Roger Stone, right?
Yeah, we talked about Roger Stone. They had like 12 SWAT officers in full body armor with guns.
I mean, you don't need 12 officers to fucking arrest a 70-year-old man in his underwear,
right?
Like maybe they just borrowed a few things and called it civil asset for sure.
Well, he owes so much money. We're gonna take his Rolls Royce. I don't know. What had happened?
Couch out there somewhere.
The case that brought this to the Supreme Court was, I don't know where the guy lived, but he got arrested, and then before he got arrested, he purchased a car, like a Land Rover or something, for I think it was like $30,000. Anyway, he purchased a car, and then the police arrested him and then seized the car. And so that was he sued them because that was imposing heavy fines, because I don't think the crime that he committed was that worthy, you know. And I do think in the state of Oregon, where I live, I do think that there is, we have jokes, which I'm sure everybody does, that the police have quotas of how many tickets they have to write every month.
I mean, is that a joke though? Because it feels real sometimes.
It totally feels real, but we also have like camera intersections and so many rules and fines and laws, and that there's like thousands of dollars if you violate them.
True.
Even for stuff that seems kind of minor, it's pretty crazy. Anyway, those are the stories we had, so we can start talking. We talk some AOC, what everyone's been waiting for.
Speaking about having nothing to say on a topic, AOC.
Well, she has lots to say. It just doesn't really make sense. Now, I don't.
I got to admit, when I first saw AOC, like I got to admit, the whole thing just reeked of a con job, where she just like, I think to me it looked like she was aping Trump, where she would just go out there, say things, and it didn't really matter what she was saying as long as it was ridiculous, because then the media would pick it up. So I don't know, because it's an effective way of getting attention. It really is.
Yeah,
I don't know what to make of her, because like she couldn't be that stupid. She does have a college degree. She has an economics degree. It makes no sense that she's so useless at economics. It feels like she has to be trolling.
I don't know if she's trolling or not. I just think that she doesn't. I mean, I have a freaking degree, man. Like, anybody can get a degree as long as they have enough time and money.
I mean, sure, but she didn't pick up anything? Like, nothing.
Well, she's a socialist, so she picked up socialist economic policies, so she's naturally bad at economics.
Well, I mean, but like, even if you're a socialist, like, it's not like fucking de Blasio is some ardent capitalist that's like sitting there going rah rah Amazon, but even he was sitting there like, Alexandria, what the fuck?
Yeah, the whole Amazon thing pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, that was really divisive, and she's just sitting there like flipping her hair back, being like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I didn't do shit. Like, what are you talking about?
She celebrated it.
I'm just like, she does so many things, and then when it comes out, suddenly she's got this like planned out response for how she's gonna completely blow it off. It's so weird.
Well, I think she understands social media way better than any of her colleagues do, or a lot of her colleagues.
I guess what I'm getting at is like, do you think she's as stupid as she seems?
The similarities.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I think the similarities that you're seeing between her and Trump is that Trump understands media, she understands social media.
Okay.
More specifically. So they both understand how the media works.
Even if it's just social media, like it's manipulating social media as easily as she does, it just doesn't feel like it could be coming from someone that's that stupid.
Well, she couldn't be...
Or ignorant. Ignorant, maybe that's the right word.
She can be... I mean, we all say stupid stuff, but her stupid stuff just makes the news.
Yeah.
And so she can say stupid things. She can say stuff like that, but it just gets into the newspaper. And then maybe let me put my tinfoil hat on and try to explain this. Okay. Maybe the media understood that they did this to Donald Trump and he won the presidency, and so they're going to try to replicate that and do it to AOC and get her not to the presidency now, but maybe 2024.
Yeah, maybe raise her profile up just enough that it actually works in the long run.
Yeah, or raise her profile enough so that she can push the left even further left.
Well, I don't think the media, because I mean, like the whole media conspiracy thing, just it doesn't strike right with me. Because I don't think they're actively coordinating. Which to do something like this, they would actually need to be actively coordinating. Unless AOC is a fucking mastermind and it's just like she knows exactly what they're going to do.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that the media, when I say that they're working together, I should probably be clear. I don't think that they're all
mustache twirling,
plotting in some Starbucks somewhere like, well, where else? They're not man enough to drink.
I'm trying to imagine them like having these secret meetings at Starbucks, just sort of whispering to each other. All these like the Twitter CEO, Amazon CEO, just all these different people sitting around a table at Starbucks, just like chuckling to each other. Yeah, we're gonna get a season president. Oh, yeah.
Well, I think what it is that there is a community of journalists. They all went to schools together, at least all the prominent ones. They all went to the same schools. They're all in groups on Facebook probably together. They all live in big cities. And so they all talk to each other, and therefore they have their own mindset or view of the world. And it just appears that they're all working together, but they all just actually believe the same thing. And so it gives off that, because I can understand that feeling like they are mustache twirling at the Starbucks, drinking their soy lattes.
Lattes are delicious.
It gives that feeling, and I can understand why some people misinterpret that way. It's not that they're all plotting together and it's some great conspiracy. It's just that they all have the same mindset and belief system.
It's one of those situations where they're all so stupid it ends up looking like a conspiracy.
They all believed
stupid.
They all believed in the Russia thing.
I mean, true. I mean, they believed in a lot of bullshit. So does that even surprise anyone at this point?
No, not really. I do think that members of the media really like AOC, though.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, she's got a lot of good things going for her. Like, she's energetic. She seems friendly. She seems approachable. Like, she's got a lot of things that are actually positive to say about her from an optics standpoint. She's just a moron.
She's also young and attractive, and
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, energetic, gets people
Well, I mean,
out and interested and paying attention.
she's got a little bit of a butterface thing going on because I swear those bug eyes, I can't.
I know. You don't want those staring down at you.
Yeah, seriously, I don't need Red Cortez. Like, no, like she's cute, but like, no, man.
One of the guys in the live chat, Prison Island Head, said that I think it's incidental. They're genuine in their love for AOC.
Oh yeah,
which I agree. Like, I read that, and that's why I said that. Is that they really?
I agree. No, I agree completely. I don't think it's any. I don't think it's any like major conspiracy. They all like AOC. I think they're just hearing her say the things that they want to hear.
Right.
And they're all just clapping along in unison, like, yeah, AOC.
Yeah, I am.
And then all the while, the policies that they're advocating for have all the fucking wealth and people like fleeing their fucking states.
Right. It's these sort of policies are just damaging to the middle class and probably the lower class.
Yeah.
And then it's just I don't think she understands. I think she understands like economics. She probably understands economic principles, even if they are socialist economic principles. But I don't think she understands finance necessarily, or how
she doesn't
money is spent in the government.
Look, if she doesn't even understand the concepts of supply and demand, she does not understand economics.
She's a socialist, so of course she doesn't.
Like, that's what I'm saying. I mean, even socialists usually understand that there's going to be an element of supply and demand. Because, I mean, even if you really pin them down on it, most socialists will admit that it's impossible to completely eradicate markets because all a market requires is supply and demand, a buyer and a seller. Right? Yeah. That's all that requires. Like, if I get paid in chickens, well, it doesn't matter that I don't have money. I trade you chickens for bread or what the fuck ever, you know? Like, it's really simple. This is like bog standard basic ass shit that if you don't accept that supply and demand is real, you don't understand economics as we understand it.
Yeah, it's the closest thing to an economic truth that you're going to get.
I mean, pretty much. Like, I think it's pretty safe to say that supply and demand is just a logical truth at this point. Like, people want things. I think we can all agree people want things. Right. If people want things, I've got the resources to provide it to you, I'm going to figure out how to provide it to you and then charge you an appropriate amount. It's really not that hard.
Yeah, I don't know anybody that denies that supply and demand exists. Well,
some communists do. Some communists actually do. Like,
probably,
actually that, but
probably some postmodernists too. They probably just see it as a
social construct.
Well, that, and then they probably just see it as a power dynamic because everything's power dynamics to those people.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not that surprising. Most postmodernists also like line up with nihilism, so it just turns into if nothing is like really real, it all becomes our perception, and if it's all our perception, then it just boils down to what do we want? We want status for the most part. Like, when it comes down, a lot of times that's just how it ends up going. So yeah. And you have the postmodernists like extrapolating that out to everything is power.
Well, yeah, it's everything's power. Everything's based on power, and the only reason things are bad is because somebody's oppressing somebody else. It's like super Marxism. Well, I mean, I hear people try to defend postmodernism because they you can't believe in Marxism necessarily because it is also a narrative, and so it's produces the power dynamic. And so if you believe in that narrative, you only believe in that narrative to impose power on somebody else. And so they're like, they eventually get to nihilism, like you said.
Yeah, pretty much. But that's sort of getting off the topic of just AOC in general.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how she even came to prominence, really, because I mean, okay, so we know that she came from the Justice Democrats, right? She's one of their guys.
Well, and the Democratic Socialists of America.
Well, yeah, but I can't
to some extent.
But she sort of has the same problem as Trump, where she just says so many things. It's difficult to pin down what she actually wants. Because I don't think she's ever actually come out, like, she's called herself a socialist. But unlike Bernie, where he's demonstrated that he doesn't actually believe in full-on socialism, like he believes in a, democratic socialism, which isn't the same thing. And then he just specifies the Norway model. And it's like, hold on. And he specifies the Norway model where it's like, that's not really socialism. That's like capitalism with a very strong, like, social safety net and high taxes. So, like, there's definitely some similarities, but it's not the same thing. And then I don't actually know how much AOC buys into that. I don't know, because she hasn't really elaborated, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I think she is smart enough to know that she can't be full on Che Guevara socialist. She can't be Mao or Lenin or Stalin.
Like, I don't know, man.
I would think that she hasn't done it yet, so I guess she knows at least that.
Well, I mean, yeah, she hasn't done it yet, but like, how would she have done it yet? Honestly, I would actually be impressed if she had managed to have done it yet. She just instantly fucking goes red, like ultimate red Cortez, and fucking. Well, this isn't even my final form, and just takes over the entire country with socialism.
Well, yeah, you said that she believes in, or Bernie believes in democratic socialism. Like, to me, that's just, he's just specifying the method in which he wants to arrive at socialism.
Sure, I mean, yeah, but, like, if you're getting specific with, like, the terminology used, you're correct. But when people say democratic socialism, what they are usually referring to is not really socialism. It's just something with that's like strong social policies.
Young Trez said that Bernie believes in social democracy, but AOC is an actual democratic socialist. And I think he's right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But all I'm trying to say is whenever people say democratic socialist, they don't usually mean real democratic socialist.
I think they say it because they've heard other people say it and they believe that's what it means. But if you look at the real meaning behind those words, that Bernie Sanders isn't really a democratic socialist, though he actually might be a little bit, but he's more of he talks more like a social democrat than a democratic socialist.
Very true.
And I think that is an important distinction for people to make. But I don't think the average person thinks about it too hard. They just
why would
they just have this label on Bernie Sanders as a democratic socialist, and they like what he says, and so they like socialism. But they don't care enough about the words to actually read up on what socialism is, or democratic socialism is, or social democracy is.
Yeah. I agree. It was very similar with me and the whole Bernie bro thing, because there was definitely a period where I called myself a socialist, not understanding that because I started reading into it more, and I was like, wait, means of production, wait, hold up.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever called myself a socialist.
Yeah, well, you're also like significantly to the right of me, so that doesn't really shock me.
Yeah, I've never called myself I was gonna say I never called myself a liberal, but I mean, I guess I'd call myself I'd have to qualify it by saying that I'm more of a classical liberal, but I'm not even that. I'm like straight up like a conservative, I guess.
So a Nazi.
Pretty much, yep.
Okay.
I believe in monarchy because it's the best.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I think it's funny. Crowder, I think, made this point that conservatives they're not conservatives of the 19th century who are trying to conserve monarchy, but they're liberalism.
Well, I mean, I've always thought that,
at least in America.
Well, because the two broadest camps as far as like ideology in the country is basically progressive and conservative. Because when you talk about liberalism, it's usually, if you understand what liberal means, it's a pretty direct line between, here's the problem over here, how do we respond to it? It's pretty straightforward. When it comes to progressivism and conservatism, it sort of depends on, what you mean, what kind of progressive, what kind of conservative. It's very nebulous. Yeah, like I said, it's not like you're a conservative for the fucking monarchy. You're not sitting there trying to bring back King George.
Yeah.
So it's those terms are very relative.
Right.
Today's progressive is going to be a conservative in 50 years' time. So
we all eventually become conservatives.
Well, I mean, even the policy suggestions, because I mean, look at how many things the fucking pot smoking hippies from the 70s that were like radical liberals at the time are fucking conservatives by today's standards.
Well, yeah, they're more, I think they'd call themselves libertarians.
Maybe, but either way, the way they would be labeled by the radical left is that these are all just conservative Nazis.
Right.
So,
well,
yeah.
That's how the radical left labels everybody who isn't the radical left.
I mean, yes, but you know what I mean.
Right,
like,
yeah.
Over time, these positions become so normal that they just sort of get absorbed by the conservatives.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I've always been, I guess it's because I grew up in a highly progressive state, and I've always sort of been a contrarian personally.
Okay.
And so, and my parents are, at least my mom and my step, in their outlook, though we never really talked politics, and they don't really like talking politics even now, but they've sort of, I mean, I don't know why, like they just grew up, my stepdad watches NASCAR, I guess, and all of his friends they call each other a bunch of freaking names, and they say things that would be considered, racial slurs or homophobic slurs now, and you can't say them. I can't say them on YouTube.
Yeah.
That never really like sat right with me, but I didn't think that they were terrible people just because they said those words, because none of them were actually those things, and they didn't really believe it. It was just, I'm going to poke you because we're all a bunch of dudes working on a race car in the garage together at 9:00 at night, on a Saturday.
True.
This is just guys having fun,
Yeah.
And they all grew up together.
That's how they do it. Yeah. I mean, like, most guys aren't seriously sitting around worrying about what the fuck I was called last night. Oh, man, he joked about me being gay. What am I going to do? Like, who the fuck does? Oh, wait, okay, well, what man does that?
Right, yeah, there you go. I was going to say women do that all the time.
Yeah, that definitely happens. But, like, when it comes to men, very few of them do that. And the ones that do that don't have friends. So, yeah.
Right. But, yeah, that's just kind of...
I'm going to put up with that shit.
That's just how I grew up, and that would not go... If a progressive got dropped into my childhood, they would probably die.
Oh, me too. Can you, like, fucking... it baffles me where these people came from, because I'm trying to think... Because I've traveled all over, man. I lived in a lot of different places. I grew up in a lot of different places. Or not a lot of different places, but a good number of them, compared to most people. And all through my childhood, we just said whatever the fuck we wanted. And nobody freaked out. Nobody freaked out. And then I get to, like, I get to, like, college age and all that, and suddenly everybody is like, oh, you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't do this, you can't do that. Like, where did this come from? Where the fuck did the 90s go, dude, where no one gave a fuck?
Come back to
Portland.
Come to Portland.
No. I'm going to get fucking lynched.
Yeah. Don't come to Portland. Or come to Portland with your MAGA hat on. You'll be fine. It'll be great.
Where around with just the rope and the bleach, be like, come at me, motherfuckers.
The town where simply wearing a MAGA hat is a hate crime.
Yeah. It's so upsetting. Don't you understand? That's a gay. It's basically a KKK hood. It's like, no,
well,
I don't actually.
getting a little off topic, we did have an incident here recently where
We weren't already off topic.
Well, to get further off topic, the group. Have you heard of the group Patriot Prayer? I don't know how nationally famous they are.
I've heard Patriot Prayer. I'm not like hugely familiar with them, but I know of them.
Yeah, they have some name recognition, mostly because they get in fights with Antifa sometimes.
Okay, fair enough.
I've been to their rallies before, and they're all like the leader of Patriot Prayer. He doesn't want violence. He does not like violence at all. He doesn't want to fight. He never gets into the fights. He just wants to. His thing is that he wants to expose Antifa for the violent thugs that they are. But anyway, to get back off topic, we had an incident recently where it came out that a police lieutenant who is supposed to reach out to groups holding protests or rallies in the city was exchanging text messages between him and the Joey Gibson, the leader of Patriot Prayer. And they claim that it was somehow favoritism towards Patriot Prayer by the police, though the officer said that they tried to reach out to the Antifa groups and they won't talk to them and they won't respond. So they try to reach out to both groups. Patriot Prayer is pro police. They're pro. They're a more conservative group, I guess. And if you couldn't tell by the name, and so
I was about to say no, really.
They talk with the police and they work with them because the police will tell them like, "Oh, Antifa is 2 blocks over. Don't take your march over there. Don't go," because the police really just want to. They don't want nobody. They don't want violence. They don't want fights to break out.
Well, yeah, the police just want a peaceful shift, man.
Right. Well, the mayor, who is also the chief of police, is calling for an investigation, and there's a couple city councilmen who are calling for, our council person, I don't know, elected officials calling for investigations and claiming that this is the police showing favoritism towards conservative groups. And
so dumb.
It is super, super dumb. But nobody talked about how the mayor of Portland, the police chief, who's also the police chief, he told Portland police to not respond or to go and assist ICE agents when we had that Occupy ICE going on in Portland, and they were being harassed coming in and out of their place of work and followed back to their homes and stuff.
Well, I mean, all I like with the Antifa thing is just they're seriously sitting there going, why don't the police treat us as well? Well, you call them coons and throw rocks at them, and the other side is saying like, how you doing, police officer? You want like a water bottle? You want a beer? Like, how you doing?
Well, yeah,
it's a real mystery.
When the Occupy ICE thing was going on, Antifa was the ones who were doing it, and they were yelling at the ICE agents. So some people they're not like, Patriot Prayer is not like an organization, like an official organization with members or anything like that. But the people who support Patriot Prayer and who've been to rallies, who are those sort of people, they took like water and cookies and snacks to the ICE agents.
Exactly. Like everybody's like, why do they get treated so much better? Because they're nice to the police officers.
Right.
Well, it's really that simple.
And the whole thing is like the newspapers around here are reporting on it like crazy, but the whole thing is that it's all been created by these activists, this whole story. It's because they refuse to work with police, and now they're saying that the police are biased against them because they won't work with them. It's like, you're the ones who refused to work with the authorities here. And now you're saying that
it's like going into a restaurant. They offer you food, and you say, "No, I won't eat your food." And then you come back later and say, "They refuse to serve me."
Right?
Like,
it's a different version of the Jussie Smollett thing all over again.
Kinda, yeah.
It's like they throw rocks at the police, and then they say police brutality when they get arrested.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, that's basically Antifa. They punch you and then cry out in pain. But back to AOC.
Yeah, I was about to say, we're very bad at staying on topic.
Right? Neither one of us are super good, but we just follow the conversation where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, it's interesting to talk about what's going on in Portland because it's just so freaking batshit crazy.
Oh, dude, that reminds me. Like, I had like a teacher's assistant in my car the other day. I was talking to her, and she's like trying to tell me that she had a friend that got off really light on some sentence that he did because apparently he was like, it had like pounds of cocaine or some shit. Like, he had a ton of drugs on him.
Whoa.
Yeah, like he had a shitload of drugs on him. And she was like, this just proves white privilege because my friends didn't get off that easy. And this white dude just walks in there and barely gets any time at all. And I'm like, it sounds like you just got a good judge because, like, lady, this town is 73% Hispanic.
Right.
You don't get to play the like victimized minority card in a town where the police chief is Hispanic, the mayor is Hispanic, most of the council members are Hispanic. There's a fucking board of commerce specifically for the Hispanic community in a overwhelmingly Hispanic city. Like, come on, like what the fuck? Wrong town. I'm the oppressed minority here. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I get the victim points in this city. Go fucking eat a dick.
Yeah, it's just racism.
Yeah,
basically.
Seriously. And I'm sitting there like, yeah, I had to tell her, just be like, lady, like, don't begrudge him that he did well in court. Like, that's a good thing. He's your friend, right? Like, he's supposed to be your friend.
But he's white, so I just keep him around as a friend for his privilege.
I guess so, man. Like, just in case something happens with the police, I need a white guy there.
The token. Like, he's token. Yeah, he's the token white guy.
He really kind of is. And I'm like, this is like kind of fucked up, y'all.
Yeah. I don't get any of that. I just don't really care enough about somebody's skin color to make decisions based off of it. Like if I saw a black guy walking towards me in the middle of the night in a 3-piece suit, I probably wouldn't think anything of it. But if I see a white guy walking towards me in like saggy pants, bandana, like smoking a cigar or something,
yeah,
probably might cross the street.
take Tekashi 6ix9ine, take like all of his fucking face tattoos, stick them on a goddamn ginger from Ireland with like a funny accent, and guess what? I'm still gonna cross the street.
Yeah.
Stick it on the whitest guy you can imagine. I don't give a shit. Give him fucking leg warmers and like a fucking pumpkin spice latte, and just give him those fucking face tattoos, and I'm crossing the street, dude. Like, if you've got jailhouse tats, I don't give a shit what color you are. I'm crossing the street.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my big thing is I'm fine with judging people based on the clothes that they wear because that's their choice. They chose those clothes. And like I don't try to if people are wearing clothes that are like torn up and dirty and stuff, I don't hate them. I'm not like, oh my god, they're dirty. I just think maybe they don't have enough money to afford good clothes, or maybe they just are having a shitty day and all their clothes got fucked up, you know?
Oh yeah, there are absolutely some times where I will go out looking like an absolute mess. Like just complete dog shit.
Well, I spent a month with shoes where the bottom was basically falling off.
Oh man, I just got some new dress shoes. I've been breaking them in over the past few weeks so that they're like, because there's nothing worse than having to go to a function and your dress shoes are just like absolute trash and you're just sitting there with your feet trying to murder you the whole time. I hate that.
Yeah, comfortable shoes are important. And I work I work in like a manufacturing setting, and so I walk around a lot, and I walk a lot of dogs, so I go through a lot of shoes.
And also it's got like a long tip, so it makes my already big feet look even bigger, ladies. A little bit of false advertising, but you know what? Fuck you. I know how those bras work with the fucking padded like shit. I don't want to hear it. So anyway. Moving on from that stupid shit.
So AOC. So she got elected in a district, in a safe Democratic district, because nobody voted for the incumbent because they thought he was going to win, I guess.
Yeah, basically the dude got Hillary effectively.
Yeah, dude got Hillary hard. And so she won, and she didn't even win like the majority, like the percentage of the people who live in that district. I don't know if I think she only got like 20,000 votes or something ridiculously small.
Yeah, 15,000, I think, is the number I heard.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's nothing, dude. Like, I feel like there should, in situations like that, I feel like there should actually be some sort of percentile minimum where you just say, look, this just isn't representative.
Right.
This isn't enough people. I don't know what to tell you, man.
Well, then she wins that district, and I think it's because she was one of the few like super progressive candidates who actually won, and so they had to champion somebody, and she just happened to be, and she's in New York, so she is right there where all the media, like a lot of the media, I guess, live, for lack of a better term, where a lot of media just is. And so they all have this, like, you know, like we just did. I just talked about stories that are going on in Portland that interest me. These are stories that are going on in their backyard that interest them. They just happen to be the New York Times or whatever.
Yeah. Man, that reminds me that the Washington Post is trash. Sorry, I'm just like, it just reminded me. I was like, man, those guys suck ass, don't they? Yep, they do. Can confirm. The Washington Post does indeed suck ass. I actually went there for a little investigative journalism and just presented my asshole, and they did suck it.
Well, that's what they're known for.
Allegedly. Don't sue me, Wapo.
Allegedly.
They allegedly sucked my asshole when I went in there.
Yeah, and so she wins that district, and then she gets all this attention, and then she just is able to generate more attention by saying loony stuff. I think part of it is that conservatives like making fun of her because
she is pretty memeable.
Yeah, she's super memeable, and they do not like socialism, and she's like openly for it.
She definitely has a lot of like socialist policy ideas.
And so I think that gets her a lot of attention. And so the media starts looking into her more, and they just report on her a lot, really.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if she is necessarily, she understands what she's doing, or if she's got activists who are very vocal and loud who are pushing her.
I mean, probably yes. There's definitely got to be at least some of that, but I don't think it's like the primary thing, because she's definitely, I mean, just like openly in the pocket of the Justice Democrats because they're the ones that like put her through. But yeah, she's probably got like advisors that are trying to advocate for this. Though this does actually, in some ways, reveal a lot about what to expect from the Justice Democrats in the future. Like, it really does feel like they're acting as a fifth column at this point.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's hard to.
And to clarify, I mean a fifth column in the Democratic Party, not a countrywide thing.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I was trying to think about it. I was like, I don't get it. Yeah, and I do think that the Democratic Party is fractured, and so I do think that's why a lot of these activists who want socialism are pushing her so hard.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she's basically their only option because, I mean, who are they going to? Because the communists don't like Bernie because they know he's not really a communist.
He's not
Right?
strong enough.
He's not strong enough, but also his policy positions are way too tepid for real communists. Like those guys are not Bernie fans because they want someone that's like actually going to push it hard. And AOC is looking pretty good for those people, I think. Like I don't think she's like a full-on communist, but she's basically the best option they've had in decades. So, yeah.
Yeah, she gets them going, man.
All the communists are sitting there like jerking off to AOC. Oh yeah, maybe promote that communism. Yes. Her and her crazy eyes.
She's doing it all intentionally.
She's teasing the communists.
No, I think she probably does hold communistic beliefs.
Probably, yeah. It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, she comes from despite her claims, she's not Alex from the Bronx. She does come from an upper middle class background. She went to like a wealthy school.
Mm-hmm.
And so it does make sense that she has those sort of leanings.
Doesn't surprise me. But I mean, like, this is because I also grew up very middle class, and it's just when you grow up in that setting, there's definitely a sentiment of the government should be doing more. Like, no matter how much the government is doing in those settings where they don't really understand how the limitations of what the federal government can do, because they're not the working class where it's just like they just don't trust the government to do anything, and it's not the rich where it's like anything the government does is typically going to negatively impact them somehow because their lives are just so complicated that everything's interconnected. So no matter what the government changes, it fucks with them in one way or another. Whereas the middle class kind of gets the best of both worlds, where they've got enough money for everything, so they don't really have to pay attention to too much of what the government's doing. So I guess they always just feel like, well, why isn't the government just taking care of it? Oh, yeah. It's an unfortunate problem. But I think I brought this up before where it's like white collar upbringing, white collar expectations. And that's very much so what you see with the middle class.
Yeah. Hey, man, can you talk for a minute? I'll be right back.
Sure. Hopefully this actually works and everything I'm saying is coming through on the other side because we've been having some connection issues. I should probably pull up the stream real quick if I can get out of this. Bam. And none of you can see what I'm doing, and that's okay. Just gonna do USA. Okay. And I've got it all pulled up. How's everybody doing while we wait on them? Yeah, AOC did go up against pushovers. That's very true. Starbucks try to order that. Well,
all right, I'm back.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think there's a huge amount left to say about AOC. Like, I think we've covered most of it, unless you have something specific.
No, I think we covered a lot of it. I did want to say that she has made a few. She's made the same mistake multiple times, where, like, for example, she said that the money that the Pentagon had or some government agency, like, basically it was that they had they moved it around wrong, and so she thought that there was extra money floating around, but it was really just that the money wasn't being spent properly or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to an accounting error, it basically all that is someone put a zero in the wrong place.
Yeah, that's what it was. She's made that mistake multiple times where, like, she thought that like the $3 billion that New York spent on getting, or was going to spend on getting Amazon into New York was
like actual cash.
Yeah, it was actual cash. It was really just like tax breaks and stuff like that.
Dude, I'd be thrilled if the government was a little bit more liberal with that sort of thing, where they're just like, look, we want something done. Who wants to do it? We'll give you a tax break. I'm really not seeing many downsides to that sort of policy in general. It gets the thing done. It gets the thing done well. It gets it done quickly, and you don't have to spend a dime on it, at least not up front.
Right. If it's the only problem I have with it is when it becomes sort of like favoritism.
I suppose it could be, but even then, like if we're talking about someone like a favorite, like they're giving too much business to one company, it's probably because the company's doing a good job.
Well, true. That is true. I just wouldn't want it to be like, well, the only reason Amazon is out competing competitor X is because they're big and New York's giving them a shitload of tax breaks. Like, I mean, we had this discussion around here with Nike recently, and basically Nike threatened to leave the state essentially unless they got a shitload of tax breaks, and so Nike, the business, pays very little. They got a bunch of tax breaks because our politicians understand that it's better to have Nike here for everybody than it is for Nike to leave, economically speaking.
I mean, yeah, but there's not a whole lot you can do about that because, I mean, realistically speaking, if they can negotiate a better deal because of what they're providing to the state, I mean, the reason that they can get that deal in the first place is because they're doing good things for the state. So, is it maybe potentially inappropriate? Yeah, you'd have to look. I'd have to see the details, but I'd say in general, I don't see a huge thing wrong with going out of your way to give people that are doing good things for your state that you want them to do. I don't see a huge deal with giving them incentives to continue doing so.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to kill the goose that's laying the golden eggs. That's for sure.
Right. Like, because I'm all for, like, I am 100% behind advocating for small business and making sure that they've got the tools they need. But realistically speaking, the fact is, when it comes to small business, the reason most small businesses go out of business, as far as I can tell, isn't because they got outcompeted by Amazon. It's because they ran like shit.
Right. They were bad.
Yeah, they weren't good companies.
Or they weren't better than somebody else, essentially.
I mean, you don't even have to be that much. You don't even have to be all that great, because all you need to be able to do to maintain a market share is to be able to provide something that people actually want, and to do it consistently and to do it professionally. If you can do that over time, if you can keep it afloat for long enough, you'll grow.
Yeah, it's a
management issue.
Like I said, I don't have a huge problem with it. Necessarily, I just can see that there could be a potential for picking winners and losers a little bit, but I think the market forces are probably more powerful than that. Like if Nike were doing a crappy job and actually not really making that much money, then they would lose out on that sort of, it's not power. I don't want to call it power because it's not necessarily the right word for it, but I want to say like influence or like competence. They're competent, and so they have the authority of competence, I guess is the best way I can think of saying it.
Yeah.
And so because they're so popular, they're such a huge brand, they're in with all these sports and everything like that. They generate a lot of money, and even with all the tax breaks, I'm sure that they're still probably one of the top tax contributors in the state.
Well, even with tax breaks, you also have to remember that them providing, like, if they leave all those jobs, if they just like pull out of the state and all the jobs suddenly magically dry up in that state, that's a whole lot of like sales tax revenue that's just gone.
Well, we don't have sales tax.
You don't have sales tax?
No.
Wait, what?
We don't have sales tax.
How do you not have sales tax?
We have income tax.
Wait, okay, so hold on. You go to the store and you pay for something and you don't pay any taxes on it.
Yeah, if it says that it's $1, we pay $1.
What the fuck is this sorcery?
Right? It's pretty cool.
I mean, but you do have income tax, so fuck that. Texas is still better.
Yeah, I'd rather have sales tax than income tax, to be honest.
Yeah, you got to admit. But yeah, still, the fact that the price is like there's no sales tax, I'm just like, oh, okay, that's actually okay.
It's funny because Washington and California both have sales tax, so people that live in Washington right on the border, they drive to Oregon, buy stuff, and then go back to Washington.
Yeah, I was thinking that for a second. I was like, I should just make my money in Texas, go to Oregon, buy shit, and just come back.
Yeah, Oregon, despite it being run by hyper progressive, crazy people, actually is a pretty good state to live in as long as you stay out of the city of Portland.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Like where I live in Washington County, we have Nike and Intel here, and so we make our county, like, we make a shitload of money.
Sure.
And we're like, basically, if you didn't have Washington County here, not the whole state, but the state would suffer a lot without those two big businesses here.
Yeah, absolutely. Like having the big like corporate campuses is really good for any state they're in.
Yeah, and they're
yeah, they're just good.
We call it the economic engine of Oregon, basically.
Sounds about right, yeah.
And so Washington County is not a bad place to live. Portland, where all the hyper progressives live,
sure,
their taxes are high. They have like an art tax. They tax
art tax?
Yeah, it's like a $30 art tax you have to pay every year to help maintain the like art installations around the city or whatever, like the statues and stuff.
I guess $30 isn't the worst, but it's still just like, I'm seriously paying an art tax.
Well, and then you can't throw foodstuffs away in the garbage. You have to compost. You have to put it in a bin for composting too. If you live in Portland, not in the rest of the state, just Portland. And no plastic bags.
What if you live in an apartment complex? Is there like a communal compost?
Well, you put it in a bin and then they take it away like the garbage.
Okay.
But they take it away to compost. But so you have to separate it out.
Huh.
Right, it's really weird.
That must be really annoying.
I don't have to do it. I don't live in Portland.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm trying to imagine how many people in Portland actually do it instead of just
Oh, they have like little bins they gave people to do it.
Enough. I guess if they give it to you, that's not so bad, but it's just like, really, bro?
Well, I'm sure they have to pay for it too. I'm pretty sure. Like with their garbage.
Yeah, I know that makes sense. Freaking
I don't know all the particulars of it, but like people in Portland are complaining because of there's not enough housing, and so the housing prices have gone up a lot, and so it's creating more inequality, I guess, where wealthy people can live in Portland, but the people who grew up there can't afford to live there anymore. And apparently they don't want to move because heaven forbid you should move an hour away into some place that's like $1,000 cheaper. But
yeah,
but then if you get out of
like property in Portland, they could probably sell it for a shitload though.
If they own it, yeah.
Yeah.
They actually, I think Portland said that you can't do single family development anymore. So you can't make like a home inside Portland city limits that's a single family. It has to be like multifamily or apartments.
That's stupid.
And they're also talking statewide rent control.
Oh, God.
Which will probably pass because we have Democratic supermajorities and Democratic governor. And
I'm so sorry.
It'll go onto the ballot, and there's enough people in Portland that they can outvote the rest of the state.
Good. That's what you want. Fucking one city that has complete hegemonic control.
That's what we got.
Yay.
Yeah, if we could just can we build the wall around Portland?
I've been saying the same thing about Texas. If we could just like take the wall, just build it around the entire perimeter of Texas, including the ocean.
There you go.
Like improved state, and then we just need like one like massive wall that's like 4,000 feet high, just in between us and California.
It's the wall from Game of Thrones.
It is. I literally want the wall to block Californians from coming here, because all the fucking stupid Californians are coming here, be like, the taxes where I'm from are too high. By the way, universal basic income. Like, what the fuck?
Let's vote for more taxes.
Did you learn nothing?
Yeah, we get that here too.
Like, why do you think your state sucks?
They flee California for Texas, Oregon, and Washington.
Like, mostly. Why do you think your state sucks? Stop trying to make my state suck. Fuck you. Get out.
Yeah, when can we impose immigration limits from California?
Yeah, no, seriously. Like, real talk. Look, if you want to live in California, fair game, man. Stay there. Fuck you.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, I know my sister-in-law lives in California, but she works for a big company, like a very well-known company down there.
Nope, she's trapped now. It's too late. She's already on the wrong side of the wall.
She makes a lot of money, so she can afford to live there. But even like, if she were living if she lived in Texas or in Oregon, she'd be considered very wealthy. But in California, she's like middle class, maybe upper middle class.
She's living in a shitty, like, one-story suburban house. I'm paying $400,000 on this a month.
Dang. Yeah, my shitty one-story suburban house is way less than that.
Dude, so like the housing prices out in California are getting fucking wild. Like, I've actually, because I drive around a lot, like all over the country.
Yeah.
Basically whenever I get a chance. And like I've actually been to California and talked to people there that are fucking homeless and making like $60,000 a year. And I'm just like, bro, why? Just get an apartment. Like, yeah, but it would eat like all of my money if I tried to live there. Like, I'm just, and he's unironically telling me, I'm just going to live out of my like tent over here. And to be fair, he had a dope ass tent. Like, credit to him. Like
3 rooms.
Yeah, no, it was a dope ass tent. Like,
I had one of those.
He had a pretty cool setup actually. As far as tents go, you know. Dude was still homeless.
It was the Trump Tower of tents.
Yeah, it kind of was. It was great. But yeah, I'm just sitting there like, dude, you make $60,000 and you're homeless. Like, what's your plan? It's like, I'm just gonna save up for the next couple of years, you know, and then probably move to Texas. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. You can come. You're cool. You can come. Because I feel like the people that ended up homeless because of these policies probably can appreciate a little bit more that maybe these ideas have issues.
Yeah, I don't think people make those connections though. They just
Oh my God.
and people don't vote. They don't vote with their. I don't think most people vote through reasoning. I think they vote based on how they feel.
Yeah.
Which another terrible thing. We could just do a whole episode about terrible things that are happening in Oregon.
Okay.
They're trying. There's legislation that's being considered to lower the voting age to 16.
Oh no.
And I'm trying to think of like better reasons to oppose it other than it's just going to give the Democrats more votes.
Dude,
And
in my opinion, 18 might be too young. Like,
well, it used to be 21.
Look, real talk, when it comes to brain development, you're not even done until you're 24 for the most part. Like 23 to 26 is when your brain finishes, somewhere in there usually.
Yeah.
Fucking 16, like when I was 16, the only thing I thought about was like masturbating in video games and girls, dude.
Yep.
You don't have
Isn't that everybody?
Like pretty much like these kids don't need to be getting involved in politics in a real way yet. Like the reason 18 is the age of majority is because that's when you're recognized as an adult that needs to start taking some responsibility.
Well, if it passes, then I think I should run for office and promise to lower the age of viewing pornography to 16, and I'd be swept into office. But the point
just poll 16-year-olds and see what they want and try and just pander the shit out of it.
Free Fortnite for everybody.
Free Fortnite, free battle royales, chicken dinners. We can do that.
You get an Xbox. I think Xbox should be subsidized. They're too expensive, and the poor people can't afford them. Anyway.
What, you don't have a phone? I don't understand.
I don't have an Xbox. I can't afford that.
I'm sorry. I thought there was never mind. I thought you would get that joke. Moving on.
Nope. Went over my head.
Okay. No, it's fine.
So the arguments the people who are pushing this gave were that 16-year-olds are impacted by the legislature, and so they should be able to have a say, and that they can drive cars like adults, they can pay taxes like adults, and they can get abortions like adults, and they can form opinions like adults, I guess is something they said.
See, that's where you lost me. No, they can't form opinions like adults.
And
in fact, again, like I said, with the whole 18-year-old limit, I don't think 18-year-olds can form opinions like adults. Like, it's not their fault. It's just they're not done yet. Like, they need more time.
Well, I think we have a problem because I started really thinking about this today, and I think we have a problem where the age to vote isn't tied to anything else. Like,
true,
you can't drink till you're 21 in most places.
Mm-hmm.
But you can vote at 18, but you can't drink. Some place like they want to raise the limit to purchasing a firearm to 21.
But voting goes down to 16.
Voting down to 16. And in Oregon, you can't now. I don't think you can buy cigarettes unless you're 21. I think they passed that.
I mean, that I don't really care about as much because it's like, at least with alcohol, it's sort of there's an actual reason to go purchase it as opposed to cigarettes where it's like,
I just don't like. I just want there to be an age for a majority. Like either there's a point at some point you're an adult or you're not.
Honestly, with the way things are going, instead of like lowering the age of, we might actually need to be periodically raising it
for voting.
Yeah, well, I mean, up to I'd say the like cap where I would stop it would be like around 26, where I officially say, okay, this is now officially going past this is just there's no reason to. but going down to 16 is just insanity, dude.
Well, the reason they changed the voting age to 18 in the first place was during World War II because you could get drafted at 18. And so in the live chat, they said that should we raise the age to join the military to 21?
I'd actually be okay with changing the voting age to military age. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I think we need to just like decide there are things adults can do, like smoke and drink and join the military and sign contracts and all that good stuff and vote, but it all needs to be the same age.
Yeah, I'd actually be okay with that because I feel like if you're ready to go in at 18, you'll also be ready to go in at 24. So
yeah, we just have to then figure out, well, what is the correct age? Is it 18? Is it 21? Is it 24?
Yeah.
Is it when you're biologically fully developed or physically fully developed? Or
I mean, because if we're just going for pure physical, what we need, I mean, we'd actually probably lower the military age to 16. But
right, physically, because that's what used to be once you're physically mature, you're considered an adult. Like back in the day, I guess.
Well, even before that, because there have been times in history where you could join the military at 12.
Right.
So not in this country, I don't think, but historically speaking, that has been a thing. Where like kids.
Yeah, lots of people. I mean, lots of young men would go and join the military.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I guarantee you, if we raise the age, it would naturally depress the number of people that go into the military, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, like there does need to be some measure of okay, you are earning your adulthood now.
Right. Or you're responsible for you now.
Another thing you could do is if you say that, okay, voting age is 18. If you go into the military when you're 18, you get to vote. And otherwise, you have to wait till you're 24. Sort of either earn it that way or earn it this way.
Let's do this. Young Trey said that, and they did mention this. I forgot in the article is what about tried like adult crimes? Where they try 16-year-olds as adults.
I don't like that.
I don't like that generally speaking, but I do think that there are instances where if the crime is heinous enough that is an exception that can be made.
I really feel like if there's gaps in the law, that needs to be dealt with, and we shouldn't just be sticking kids into adult court. Like even if there's something really wrong with the kid, instead of just trying them like an adult, there really should be a section of law that's specific to children, in my opinion. That if you want to talk about exceptions, like why don't we just write in how the law applies to a 16-year-old in these heinous exceptions that are uncommon?
They're tried as adults. The reasoning behind that, I think the reasoning behind that was like if a 16-year-old commits murder, should they be able to get out of prison once they get to 18?
Like I said, I would prefer to have this all like instead of just throwing it up to the adult courts. I would rather there be like a specific section of law for how that gets handled for minors. And if that means that they don't get let out at 18, okay, then they don't get let out at 18. But I want to see that explored specifically for minors.
Yeah, I think that's probably a better way to handle it as opposed to just saying, well, they knew what they were doing, therefore they can be treated like an adult. But then you'd have it's not very popular to say, well, we're going to imprison these children for 20 years for murder. I mean, politically speaking.
Yeah. I mean, look, I get that they should be treated like adults if they want to go out and commit big crimes, but I just think that needs to be established as an actual section of law.
Well, yeah, and if they're out acting like adults, like should they be treated like adults? I mean,
Maybe.
yeah, that to me that's a more of a gray area.
I want that to be explored by legal experts to actually sit down with legislation and go, okay, what do we think might work here? Because it doesn't seem like a good system to pretend that a 16-year-old is basically a 30-year-old just because they did similar things. They're not.
Well, a 16-year-old is basically an 18-year-old.
Right. Just the way they think is very different. Like the way the brain functions when you're a teenager is just so different from when you're an adult. I think I think that's worthy of distinction.
I do think so too. I just know I don't want 16-year-olds voting.
No, fuck that. No.
So I was trying to think. No
16-year-olds voting. Fuck that.
I was trying to think. What is the moral or like more philosophical reasoning behind why a 16-year-old shouldn't vote? And I think like I came up with like a good legal reason why is that we don't trust them. We don't trust them with other legal rights like the Second Amendment. So why should we treat them with enfranchisement?
They're not legally responsible yet. Like,
yeah,
that's the main thing. Like, if you're not going to be responsible for yourself as a fully functioning adult, no, I don't think you should be given the vote. I'm sorry. And by the way, young Trey, if you're trying to rent a car for Uber, you might want to talk to Lyft. They actually will help you out as early as 21. Just so you know.
FYI.
Yeah, because I just saw him in the chat talking about renting a car for Uber. That's not your only option, I promise. Talk to Lyft about it. They can help you out.
Yeah. You can't rent a car till you're like, what, 25, 24? Like from a rental car place? Something like that.
I know that Lyft goes younger because they have like some special deal with Hertz.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's worth looking into.
Well, I'm well past that age, so I can rent a car whenever I want. Not a problem for me.
Right.
I never had to rent a car when I was that young before, but I guess, my white privilege is showing.
I think if I'm reading his comment correctly, it sounds like he wants to be a driver. So young Trey can correct me if he wants to, but if he's trying to be a driver, then yeah, 21 is what Lyft wants.
The more you know.
The more you know.
All right, we've gone for almost 2.5 hours now, so I think this is a good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, now that I'm giving like advice to a potential driver.
Hey, we take care of our fans here, so
we do.
Our subscribers.
I love you.
All 3 of you. 2 of those might be us, though.
They might be us.
So we love ourselves. All right, guys. Thank you for watching and listening. Please like and subscribe. And we do this every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern, and everything between. Follow us on Facebook, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace, guys. You have a nice night.